What do your results mean for HR policy or the practice of HR?
Well, I think for the practice of HR, I think HR people have to be more aggressive and defensive consumers, right? That they have to sort of defend themselves against these marketing campaigns, basically. And part of the problem they have is that their own business leaders seem to be heavily influenced by these marketing campaigns. So I can tell you, for example, in 2019, I was talking to heads of human resources who were being tasked by their leaders to figure out what they were going to do with all their unemployed truck drivers. Because in 2019, there were these projections that by now, truck drivers would be largely obsolete and on the way out because robotic trucks were going to take over, right? And so part of what HR has to have, I think, is a little more aggressive point of view on these questions that come from the vendors. What do we actually know about generational differences, for example, and why do they matter? Do they really matter, right? What do we actually think will happen with these new technologies like ChatGPT? Is it really going to eliminate all our jobs the way some of the forecasters say? I mean, they've been wrong about everything so far. Do we think they're going to be right about this one? And some of that is a way of arguing up to their own leaders and say, look, we've looked at this. Here's what we think is going to happen in the workplace, rather than waiting and reacting to what the CEOs think. And the CEOs are just getting their views from the business press, right? So can we do a better job of educating our own leaders on the things that we are supposed to know the most about? And that may mean being out of step with what the marketing world is saying about human resources in the future. Yeah, I think that's right. Don't be passive. And I think, this is where the research community could, if it was willing, play a much bigger role. And that is to say, here is the reality. Here are the issues that really matter. I can tell you, for example, on these generational differences stories, the demographers always knew this was just silly. There was no evidence for any of this stuff. But they didn't care enough to say anything about it. That's somebody else's problem, right? And as a result, we've wasted all this time and energy worrying about these issues, which aren't even true in the US, let alone thinking that the US generational differences would apply in China and Russia and the rest of the world, which is insane, right? So, could the academic community do more to be the honest broker on these issues? Certainly could. But here again, we have that disconnect, right? If the HR researchers think their job is to build theory for this smaller and smaller group of people who are interested in that topic, while this enormous concern is floating around us, without being addressed, it's a misplaced mission.